Hi guys, welcome back. This is Eyewitness. These are accounts that I've seen of the goodness of the Lord in the land and living with my own eyes. Um, this was a good couple of years back. My mom was still alive and still vibrant. I was still living in South Africa at the time. And I remember we were off to see and visit my auntie. At the time she lived in Inanda. And so Inanda is on the outskirts of Durban. And in order to get there, you had to come past a four-way intersection, which was known as crossroads. So you'd come out of the city this way, coming out of Avoca, going down, and then you'd come to this crossroads, and you had Phoenix on your right-hand side, you had the road to Zuma on your left, and the road to Inanda straight on. And so it was quite a busy intersection. At this stage, I think now they've got a flyover in which we'll just go straight over that intersection. But at the time there was no flyover, so you'd come and there'd be traffic lights there, and so we were sitting in a taxi. I know people from South Africa understand what it is. A taxi is the Kumbi taxi. A taxi back there in South Africa is like a minivan, which would have about maybe 16 or 18 people in it. And so we were sitting in the front seat. I remember, I think my mom was sitting I was sitting in the middle, and my mom was sitting at the door. And so just as we came over Avoca, we're coming out of Avoca up the hill like that. You have Commercial on the side. Just as we came up the hill, I remember for some reason I just turned and I looked at my mother, and I could see her lips were moving, and she started praying in tongues. And now I'd been around long enough to know that when she starts praying in tongues, I must pray in tongues as well. And so I remember we started praying in tongues, and I think we prayed for easy a minute and a half and thereabouts. But we're just in that sort of heightened spiritual state, in that as you begin to start praying in the spirit, you become much more spiritually aware as to what's happening, and you're in a heightened state, But everything was fine. We're still in the front seat of the taxi, and we're coming up. And so I think at this stage we were maybe a kilometer away from the intersection. And I mean, everything was going smoothly. There was nothing to worry about, And next thing, as I noticed the driver was at a consistent speed. He was within the speed limit, but he was going consistently at it. And so we were coming towards the intersection. And as we were coming towards the intersection, I could see that the lights had turned orange or amber, but the driver kept going. Now, I wasn't quite sure what was happening with him, but anyway, he kept going. And I looked again, and as I looked, the traffic lights for us had turned red. And he kept going. He kept driving straight. And so the cars from Phoenix and the cars from Zuma had left already. They were like that, so there was just a tiny little space for us to get through. And I don't know how the guy got through, because he swerved the vehicle this way, then he swerved it this way, then he swerved it this way, and somehow by the grace of God we got through unscathed. I mean, no one knew what was happening, because the seats behind you are a little bit lower, and we were high up in the front, and I saw everything that was happening there. But again, there was this heightened sense of spiritual. You're in a I was in a heightened spiritual sense. So I wasn't really panicked. I didn't panic at all. It didn't strike me that anything was going to happen. I wasn't worried or anything. But when I really caught on as to what was happening, and what had happened was, this guy somehow managed to evade all of the traffic. When he came out when he came out on the other side of the intersection, he pulled over about 200 meters afterwards. He just pulled over to the side, and this was a grown man, a hardcore man. He just this is what he did. He just put his head down like this on the steering wheel. He put his head down like that on the steering wheel. Then he turned around and he said to the people, he said, "I'm sorry. I don't think they knew what had happened." And it was only then that I realized that this was the goodness of the Lord. Only because my mom started praying back there, only because we were in the spirit back then, that God, in His mercy, decided to save our lives. And I look back at that day, and there's been many escapes like that which are narrow, in which I can clearly say this is the hand of God. I've seen God move in power. I've seen His hand become bare. I love the thought of that God would even roll up His sleeves and reach down to get us, and I thank God even for that day, and all glory goes to Him because of His faithfulness, because of His grace. I don't know what that man said when his head was down there, but I knew by the way he got up and the look on his eyes, I knew that he knew that it was God who delivered him. And we live to tell the tale, and here we are, could be 20, 30 years later, and still we boast of the faithfulness of God. He's done it for me. My eyes have seen the wonders of the living God.